My name is Lebo, and I am 25 years old. I am from Copenhagen, Denmark. I grew up in a Christian family, but I was never born again. I was always in church every Sunday with my parents and all of that. So for me, the Christian life was not really alive in me. It was more just something you heard every Sunday and from your parents. But then one day I was very down. I was searching for more, and I knew there was more with God. But I always said to myself, why is it that everyone is experiencing God, but I don't experience Him myself? So one day I was praying to God to show me that He wanted to use me, and to show me a sign that He is there for me. And then, so I woke up one morning, and there was a small hole in my bed, and I had like a bed sofa bed. So when I saw a hole in that bed, I thought it was really ugly. So I took something to cover that hole, and when I did that, a few days after that, I had to take off some sheets to wash it. And then the hole that was there was no longer a hole, but it was a big cross on the bed. And I remember when I saw that, it was really clear for me that it was the sign that I was praying for from God. And I remember I just felt His presence all over my body. I felt goosebumps, and when I saw it, I was, wow, this is you, God, this is you. So I stumbled into a website called experiencejesus.dk. In Danish it's called Oplev Jesus, but it was a website by Torben Søndergaard who had that website, and I remember when I saw his website, I just saw he was different compared to other people. So other pastors who is out there in the churches in Denmark, he was a person who took someone by the hand and showed them how to actually live the Christian life. So when I saw that, I thought, wow, okay, I'm gonna contact him. But one thing that really caught my attention was that he said that we need to be born again. And I never heard that, actually, really. So I contacted him, and he came to Copenhagen, where I lived. And then he baptized me in water and the Holy Spirit. And then he went out with me on the street, and I got kick-started to heal the sick and to preach the gospel. So that was really strong. In one day, everything happened in one day. So that was really a day that transformed my life completely. When I started to make films, when I was doing filmmaking in the beginning, I was actually making sports filmmaking, so it was about football. But later on, I felt that was boring, so I wanted to do something more. I actually wanted to film a bit and direct something. So I started to do some short films, and I really liked that. I really loved it. So my biggest dream at that time was really to make one day a feature film, of course. But not a documentary at all, but to make fiction, something, maybe science fiction, action movie, something at that time. But when I was born again, God made it so clear for me that I could not work with that anymore. I just wanted to serve Him with all my heart. I wanted to give Him everything. And I just knew that, wow, this talent that I have, because people loved it, what I was doing. I can use it to glorify Him. So that was actually what started for me to make something for God. But I never expected that I will make a documentary, a future film about Him, about God, that will actually go out there and change a lot of people. I never thought about that, never. God spoke to us about making the movie, the first movie. He told us to make 3 movies. And so the Last Reformation, the life, was a movie we started making right after we made the first movie. And because we knew already that we had to make 3 movies, so we started to make the second one. And that one, again, I actually had no idea how to make it, and I didn't know what to do with it and what it would be about. And also the title, The Life, it was something we came up with later on when we started filming. But in the beginning, I had no idea. So when we actually started to film this movie, so God was really directing the whole movie from the beginning to the end. When we started to film later on, it became more and more clear what the movie will be about, actually. And then we knew, okay, this movie is going to be about the life of a disciple of Jesus. And it makes sense because the first movie was about the new birth. Now you're a Christian. And then the second was, now you're born again. Now you're born again Christian. What now? There's a life to live. There's a big difference with this movie. I feel that in this movie I'm much closer to the stories than the first movie. This new movie, The Last Reformation, The Life. Also because we knew more about how to film, how to get the stories more deeper than the first movie. The difference between this movie and the last movie is, of course, that you see the life more. You see the lifestyle of a disciple. You see how you live it and how you go out and how you approach people, and how you share the gospel, and how you see when people get healed and when they don't get healed. So it's ups and downs, and how you get led by the Holy Spirit is more about that. Where the first one is more just about the new birth. It's more about getting baptized, born again, filled with the Holy Spirit. So this is more deep. It's more what comes after that. What do we see after that? And how do we live this life? What happens, you know? Because I remember the first movie, one of the things many people asked was, I saw some comments on the movie, and many asked, but do you see healings all the time when you go out in the street? Do you see people getting healed all the time? And is it always successful? And that's what we want to show with the second movie, that it's not always successful, that we, of course, experience that people also don't experience healing. We don't always see a breakthrough, but when we keep going and keep trusting in God, then we will see a breakthrough. When I was making the first movie, I experienced a lot of attacks, and it was actually not doing when I was filming, but when I was doing the post-production, when I was editing the movie. Just when I started editing, it started slowly. I got very sick. I started to cough, and I was coughing, and I thought in the beginning, this will maybe go away in some few weeks, but it actually took 6 months of coughing. But while I was coughing, I suddenly got infection in my body, so I became very weak. So I didn't have strength to go out, to walk, and to actually work on the movie, really. So I only did a small amount of editing every day, and it actually ended up in the very end of the movie that I went to the hospital to get operated in my back. So, but I was not only attacked physically, I was also attacked in the mental, in my head. I had a lot of thoughts that the devil came with a lot of voices and said, this is not from God, what you're doing is not good, and nobody will like it, and nobody wants to see it, and it doesn't make sense what you're doing. And so I was really discouraged, and I actually didn't believe almost in myself in the end, and I thought that nobody would see it, the movie. But I always prayed to God, and I said, God, at least if one person get changed by this movie, then it will be worth it. So, but in the very end, when I was editing the movie, just in the end, when I finished actually editing, then all the signals was gone, and I was good again. In the first movie, I had a lot of attack from the beginning when I started to edit. So this one, I didn't actually feel any attack in the beginning. But after some weeks, I remember when I really got into the editing part, it just came slam, 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 all the attacks. I got really, really attacked in the mind. And it was so weird. I just felt so many times when I was sitting and editing, I just felt like a big cloud, a gray cloud came over me. And everything felt so dark and felt so empty and bad, and I couldn't think, and I couldn't concentrate, and I felt so much depression. But I just knew that God is faithful. If He can lead me out of the first movie, He can do it again this time. So I just kept pressing on again and again, and then in the end, yeah. We made it. For me, it's been a big honor to make those movies, because I didn't know how big of an impact it would have on people. But to be here on the other side, to see actually how many millions have seen it and how many thousands have actually got changed by watching, is really big for me. It's so amazing. I'm so honored. I'm so honored, and yeah, thankful to God that He can use me for that. It's a really exciting movie. Watch it. It's directed by God, by the Holy Spirit.